Hi yogis, welcome to my channel. Thank you for choosing to practice with me today. My name is Michelle, and if this is your first time practicing with me, welcome. And for those of you that are returning, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your yoga practice. And so today we're going to be focusing on the hips, getting pretty deep into the hips today. And just really slowing the breath down. I'll be guiding you to really focus on using the breath to kind of manipulate the muscles and get into the fascia and the ligaments and the joints. All right. So props today are blocks. If you want to incorporate any other props, of course, you're always welcome to do that. Blankets, bolsters, just really making the props and poses work for your body. And just a reminder to be mindful of any injuries that you may have, and just really listening and honoring your body and making any modifications where necessary. All right, so let's get started in butterfly. So soles of the feet together. And I always kind of just like to move the flesh out from the cheeks to really root down through the sits bones. And already here in this first pose, you always have the option to use props. You can use your blocks or whatever. But let's take an inhale first. Just lengthen up nice and tall. Really feel yourself extending through the spine, reaching up through the crown of your head. Let the shoulders soften. Let's just take a cleansing breath here. Inhaling through the nose all the way to the belly. And open mouth, exhale. Let's do that once again. Full inhale through the nose to the belly. Open mouth, exhale. And now just allowing yourself to hinge forward, coming into your fold here. And just noticing where the body's at today, how the body's feeling. Let your head be really heavy. Dropping the chin in towards the chest. And in Yin, we like to round through the spine. But if this doesn't feel good on your low back, you can keep the back nice and flat and just lengthen through the spine, through the crown of the head. Find softness in the shoulders and in the neck. And then once you settle here, taking a cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose, send the breath all the way to the belly, to the low back. Big open mouth, exhale. And focusing on letting the glutes be at ease. So notice if there's any activation or squeezing or gripping in the glutes or in the hips or in the inner thighs. Letting that go. And just taking nice, slow, deep breaths here. With each exhale, letting the body release tension. And letting the body release any gripping or holding.
And while we're here in this very humbling forward fold, dedicating this time for yourself. You can create that into an affirmation. I dedicate this time here on my mat for myself. Letting go of any tension in the jaw, around the eyes. We'll take 5 more slow, deep breaths here. And on this last breath, making it a cleansing breath, but really focus on filling up the whole back with your inhale. And then a really big open mouth exhale. Good. Walking the hands back in. Bringing the hands to the legs, maybe moving the props out if you've used any, and then slowly pressing yourself up. So really press the hands into the legs to support lifting the upper body up. Head coming up last. Let the shoulders relax down the back and just taking a few breaths here. Noticing any new sensations. Last breath. Let's take an open mouth exhale. And slowly opening the eyes. Very nice. From here, we're going to come into deer. I'm just going to turn myself around. So keeping the left leg in front, and we'll bring that right leg back behind us. So in deer, we'll have the left shin parallel with the top of your mat, or in a straight line, ankle to knee. And then the right leg, aligning your knee with your hip as much as you can. And you can bring that foot out if that feels okay in your hip. If the hips are really tight today, you can just gently bring that heel in a little closer towards the glute. And then we don't want to focus on not putting all of our weight over onto that left hip, bringing yourself to center as much as you can. And then taking that inhale, lengthen up nice and tall. And then exhale, we're going to walk the hands out, coming into a forward fold here. And again, you can use any props here. Maybe you use a block, or you just let the head be heavy. And in this pose, it's very common for those glutes to want to clench, especially the right one here. So we want to let that clenching go, allowing ourselves to open up the hips. And taking a full breath through the nose to the belly to the low back. Taking an open mouth exhale. And then just slowing the breath down, breathing in and out through the nose. And focusing on sending your breath right into any tight spots. And imagining that with each inhale, it's opening and expanding the muscles, the joints. And each time you exhale, releasing anything that's tight or stagnant here. And allowing oxygen and blood flow to this area. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Last breath, cleansing inhale and exhale. Good. Then from here, we're going to transition into pigeon. So just extending that right leg all the way back, kind of walking that leg back and finding your center here. So again, we want to make sure we're not putting all our weight over onto that left hip. If the left hip is lifting up quite a bit off the floor, you can always place a block underneath there or a blanket to kind of level out your hips. And once you get settled, let's take an inhale, lengthen through the spine so you're reaching that upper body forward. And then allowing yourself to come into your fold here, using any props that you may like, or just stacking the arms on top of one another or the hands. And I know this is a pretty intense hip opening stretch pose. And just allow yourself to use the breath, use your breath to breathe into these tight areas, and letting those areas release and open up. My hips are pretty tight today, so I'm feeling this as well. I'm just noticing your thoughts here. Very common for the mind to want to start taking over and kind of taking us out of allowing ourselves to find some release. So your mind may be telling you, oh, we need to move, we need to shift. Let's think about something else. Let's not allow ourselves to kind of sink and surrender into this pose. It's too much, it's too much. But just letting the mind know this is why we're here today. I'm dedicated this time for my yoga practice. I dedicated this time to work on my hips. And just breathe here. Let's take 3 more breaths. Last breath. Really big cleansing inhale and exhale. Slowly pressing yourself up. Now we will shift all our weight on over to that left hip, slowly swinging that right leg around. From here, we're going to come into fire log. So we're going to stack shin over shin. I'm going to turn myself this way once again. So notice if that bottom foot is kind of in closer to your hip. You want to walk that out so it's more so aligned underneath the knee. So fire log or double pigeon is what we call this. If this is too intense, you can just cross the shins over one another. So just dropping that right leg down. Yeah. Good. And then taking that inhale, lengthen up nice and tall. And then exhale, hinging from the hips, coming forward, coming back into another fold. I really like to take my time here coming into the fold, because there's kind of these layers, right, of muscles, especially in the glutes, and the fascia. And you don't want to miss out on all of those layers. So really taking your time, just taking a few breaths, breathing through the layers. So here it's very common for the whole hip girdle to kind of want to hug in, so those hips kind of squeezing in towards one another. What we're focusing on is opening up that hip girdle, releasing the hips. So feeling for that sensation of that release. And then once you feel a little shift, a little release, then maybe you come down a little further into your fold. And again, you can use props here. Utilizing the breath to manipulate the muscles, to find that release. Notice if your shoulders are up by your ears. You want to let those shoulder blades drop down the back, creating space. So that we're not holding any tension or stress in the shoulders or in the neck. And let's take 3 more breaths here. And last breath. Cleansing inhale and exhale. Good. Bringing the hands back to the legs, pressing the hands into the legs to support lifting the upper body back up. From here, let's come right into windshield wipers. So bring the hands back behind you, unstack the legs, have the feet about hip width distance, and then just dropping the legs side to side. Very good. Nicely done, yogis. We'll go on to our other side. So I'm going to turn myself back around, coming into deer. So we'll have the right leg in front this time, left leg back behind. Aligning the legs, ankle with the knees, or maybe having that left foot in a little closer. And finding your center here. Good. And let's take an inhale, lengthen up nice and tall. Exhale, walking the hands out in front, coming into your fold. Really noticing if this side feels any different. Always remembering we typically have one side of our body that's tighter than the other. Noticing where the shoulders are here in this pose, if they're up by the ears. And creating that space by drawing the shoulders and shoulder blades down. Let's take 5 more breaths here. Last breath, cleansing inhale and exhale. Very good. From here, we'll shift into our pigeon. So extending that left leg back. Making any movements that you need to make to allow yourself to get into your pose. And then taking that inhale, lengthen through the spine. And then coming down into your pigeon. And let those glutes release. And same thing here, finding space between the shoulders and the ears. So gliding those shoulders down. And taking a big inhale through the nose to the belly. And as you exhale, let the belly soften. Let those hips release. So we want to focus on letting the hips melt towards the floor. Let's take 3 more breaths. Last breath. Open mouth, exhale. Slowly pressing yourself up. Coming on to that right hip to gently swing that left leg around. Coming into fire log on this side. Stacking the shins on top of one another, or finding that cross of the shins. Take an inhale to lengthen up nice and tall. And then exhale, hinging from the hips. Again, maybe you just hold here, take a few breaths, or this is where you're at for the remainder of this pose. If you're feeling a good stretch here, I invite you to just stay here. Just breathe through it. Or if the body feels that it's able to go a little deeper, then allow yourself to come into that as well. Connecting with each inhale, with each exhale. Feeling it in your body. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Last breath, cleansing inhale and exhale. Walking the hands back in towards you. Slowly coming back up. Coming right into our counter pose, windshield wiper. Our hands come back behind. Unstacking the legs, widen the feet. And then just dropping the legs side to side. Very good. And from here, let's just come into straddle. So straddling the legs out. Good. Taking an inhale, lengthen up nice and tall. And then exhale, walking the hands out. Coming into your fold here. Using whatever props. Really focusing on letting the legs be relaxed. So notice if the quads or the kneecaps are wanting to activate. We want to release that. And letting the chin fall in towards the chest. And taking a breath into the belly, the low back. Exhale, letting everything soften. Taking a breath into the mid-back, the rib cage. And exhale, softening. And taking a breath all the way up to the upper back, the shoulders, the neck. And exhale to release. Taking nice, slow, lengthening breath. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And last breath. Inhale through the nose. Fill the hole back up with your inhale. Big open mouth exhale. Beautiful. Slowly pressing yourself up. And let's use the hands to gently bring the legs in, extending the legs all the way out, giving them a nice little shake. Okay. And then we'll lower ourselves on down. So you can just scooch those hips forward. Bring yourself down nice and easy. And right away, as you get down on your back, bring the knees into the chest and just gently rock side to side. Good. Coming into a supine twist. Let's open up the arms out to a T, palms facing up. And then just dropping the legs over to the right. Maybe looking over to the left. And we'll just take 5 breaths here. And with each exhale, just allow your whole upper body to sink down. Let your belly soften. And last breath here. Bringing your head back to center. Bring the legs back to center. And then just going right on over to the left side, letting the legs fall over to the left, looking over to the right. 5 slow, deep breaths here. Last breath. Head comes back to center, knees back into the chest. Giving yourself a big hug here. And taking a full breath, inhale through the nose, fill the belly up. Open mouth, exhale. Beautiful. Releasing the arms, lowering the feet down to the mat, to the floor. And then extending the legs all the way out, coming into Shavasana. Taking up lots of space, really widen the feet so that the hips have lots of room to just surrender here. Let the feet just fall open to the side. Taking a cleansing breath, inhale through the nose all the way down into your hips. Open mouth, exhale. Letting the whole body release, let go, surrender. And just noticing any sensations in the area of your hips. Maybe you feel some energy. And just allow that energy to flush through the rest of your body. And letting the hips sink deeper into the earth. And letting your whole body sink deeper. Taking a full, big inhale through the nose. Send the breath all the way to your toes. Big open mouth exhale. And beginning to bring some movement into the body, wiggling the fingers, the toes, rocking your head side to side. And let's reach the arms up overhead, bring the feet back in towards one another. And taking a nice lengthening stretch, point through the toes, reach through the fingers, big inhale. And then as you exhale, bring the arms into the body. Bring your feet to the floor, to the mat. Bring the knees into the chest. And just taking a few rocks side to side here. And then rolling over to your right side in fetal pose. Taking a breath here. And then slowly pressing yourself up. And we'll meet back in an easy seated pose. Let's bring the hands to heart, Anjali Mudra, taking a cleansing breath. Taking just a few more breaths here to tune in. Notice how your body is feeling. Notice how the hips are feeling. Allowing this energy that you created to continue to flow through your entire body, letting it integrate into all parts, into all cells. And gently bowing our heads. Thank you, yogis, for dedicating this time for yourself. And thank you for choosing to practice with me. May you continue to have peace in your heart, peace in your mind, peace in your body, and peace in your life. Namaste. Thank you, yogis, for practicing with me. I hope you really enjoyed today's practice. If you did, it would be really, really wonderful if you could give it a thumbs up. And I'm always open to receiving any comments. If you enjoyed the practice, if there's something you'd like to have more of, any feedback, I am open to receiving and utilizing that feedback. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace, my friends.